Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a simple yet profound truth: silence is better than meaningless words in a world full of noise, where opinions are shared freely and words are often tossed around without thought. The value of silence can sometimes be overlooked. But there's wisdom in silence that can never be found in empty chatter. Silence is a profound force that transcends the boundaries of spoken language, offering a sanctuary of clarity and reflection in an increasingly noisy world. It is not merely the absence of sound, but a state rich with potential, where the essence of life can be truly perceived and understood. In silence, the chaos of external stimuli subsides, and we are given the rare opportunity to listen not just to others, but to ourselves and the world around us. In a culture that often equates productivity with constant activity and communication, silence can feel uncomfortable or even threatening. Yet it is in the stillness that we find the space to process our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Silence provides the room to question, to wonder, and to connect with the deeper layers of existence that words may only graze. It is the pause between breaths, the stillness between movements, and the quiet within which creativity, wisdom, and insight are born. Silence also teaches us to embrace presence. When we stop speaking, we begin to notice what we might otherwise overlook: the rustle of leaves in the wind, the cadence of our own heartbeat, or the subtle expressions of a loved one. These moments, seemingly insignificant, are often laden with meaning. They remind us that life is not something to be conquered or explained, but something to be experienced in its fullness. All words can describe these experiences, but they cannot replicate the intimacy and authenticity of simply being. In relationships, silence plays a transformative role. It creates space for others to speak, allowing conversations to unfold more naturally and truthfully. It also fosters deep listening, an art often neglected in the rush to respond or assert one's own viewpoint. In silence, we become more attuned to the nuances of another's words and the emotions that accompany them. This awareness builds trust, empathy, and understanding, strengthening the bonds between individuals. Furthermore, silence is a refuge from the relentless demands of modern life. In a world dominated by information overload and endless distractions, the act of withdrawing into silence is a radical act of self-care. It is a way of reclaiming our inner equilibrium, a reset that allows us to return to the world with greater focus and intention. Silence is not an escape, but a grounding, a reminder that beneath the surface noise, there is a core of stillness and strength that sustains us. Spiritual traditions across cultures recognize the transformative power of silence. From meditation practices to silent retreats, the absence of speech is often revered as a path to enlightenment or self-realization. In these moments of quiet, we come face to face with the essence of who we are, free from the masks and roles that words sometimes compel us to wear. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting truths that words cannot articulate. Ultimately, silence is not an enemy to be vanquished, but a companion to be embraced. It is a gift that invites us to pause, reflect, and reconnect with the world in ways that are both profound and enduring. In its quiet depths, we discover the infinite potential of simply being. In the modern world, where noise constantly surrounds us, it becomes increasingly difficult to distinguish between what is meaningful and what is merely background chatter. We are bombarded daily with a cacophony of voices through the media, social platforms, advertisements, and even casual conversations. Yet amidst this relentless noise, true meaning often struggles to emerge. Noise in this context is not just about physical sound, it represents the superficial, the distractions, and the empty words that fill the void, serving little purpose beyond occupying space. In a world where words are so easily available, there is a tendency to speak without thought, to communicate simply for the sake of filling silence. We talk to fill the gaps, to be heard, to avoid discomfort, rather than to express something of value. As a result, much of what is said becomes diluted, lacking depth or intention. These are the meaningless words, the phrases that pass through our mouths without ever touching the core of what we truly wish to convey. While the desire to communicate is essential, the act of speaking without substance often renders our words ineffective, failing to resonate with others or make any lasting impact. The danger of this noise is that it crowds out the space needed for true understanding and connection. In the pursuit of constant communication, We may find ourselves repeating ideas we don't fully understand, sharing opinions that are not fully formed, or parroting the words of others without adding our own authentic voice. The result is a world where it becomes harder to discern what truly matters from the barrage of distractions. The act of speaking becomes a way to keep things moving, to maintain a sense of activity, but without a sense of purpose or clarity. In the noise, meaning is often lost or drowned out. Meaning, on the other hand, requires a certain stillness, a pause in the noise. It thrives in the space between words, in the moments of quiet reflection that allow us to distill our thoughts and intentions. Meaningful communication doesn't arise from a rush to speak or from the need to be constantly validated through words. Instead, it emerges when we listen deeply, think carefully, and speak with intention. Meaning is found in the rare moments when our words carry weight, when they are chosen with care and are aligned with our true purpose and understanding. It is in these moments that we make real connections, communicate authentically, and touch the hearts of others. The relationship between noise and meaning also speaks to the paradox of modern life. We live in an era where it is easier than ever to speak, yet harder than ever to be heard. With the overwhelming flood of opinions, facts, and voices, the true essence of what we want to express often gets lost in the noise. Silence becomes an act of resistance to this flood, a conscious choice to refrain from contributing to the noise, unless we have something of significance to say. It is only when we are willing to silence the distractions that we can truly hear what is meaningful, both within ourselves and in the world around us. In the end, the real challenge is not in finding more to say, but in choosing the right moments to speak. It is about ensuring that our words, when they do come, are full of meaning and contribute to a deeper understanding rather than simply adding to the noise. The power of meaning lies not in its volume, but in its authenticity and depth. In our fast-paced world, we often find ourselves rushing from one task to another, consumed by the relentless pursuit of goals and outcomes. Our minds are constantly engaged, hopping from thought to thought, and we rarely allow ourselves the luxury of stillness. Yet it is within stillness that true presence can be found. Presence is not about physical proximity, but about being fully engaged in the moment, undistracted by the noise and clutter of the external world. It is the act of truly experiencing life, rather than simply moving through it. Stillness is not an absence of activity, but a state of inner calm that allows us to connect more deeply with the world around us. When we stop, when we breathe, and when we embrace silence, we create space for awareness to emerge. In this quiet space, we can tune in to the subtle rhythms of life that are often drowned out by the constant busyness of our minds. The sound of a distant bird's call, the rustling of leaves in the wind, or even the stillness of our own breath all become significant in the stillness. These seemingly small details become magnified, reminding us that life is not just the culmination of our efforts, but a series of present moments waiting to be experienced. The power of presence in stillness lies in its ability to ground us. When we pause and embrace the quiet, we free ourselves from the demands of time and expectation. We step out of the constant pressure to perform or achieve, and we allow ourselves to simply be. In stillness, we can acknowledge our thoughts and emotions without judgment, without the need to react. It is a space where we can simply exist, without the distractions of the past or future clouding our perception. This kind of presence is a return to the essential, to the core of who we are, before we are defined by the roles and labels we often carry. Stillness in presence also cultivates a deep connection with others. In a world where communication is often hurried and superficial, the act of being fully present in a moment can be a transformative experience for those around us. When we are present, we listen deeply, not just to the words being spoken, but to the emotions, intentions, and nuances behind them. This form of listening requires stillness not just in our surroundings, but in our minds and hearts. It is through this kind of attentiveness that true understanding and empathy can be fostered. In the stillness of shared presence, relationships deepen, as both parties engage not from a place of distraction, but from a space of complete awareness. In stillness, there is a gentle invitation to embrace vulnerability. When we are still, we are left with our true selves, without the noise of external influences or the need for validation. This is where self-awareness is born, the ability to sit with our discomforts, our uncertainties, and our true emotions without fleeing into activity or distractions. It is in this space that we can fully acknowledge who we are and where we are, without the need for constant change or improvement. Stillness allows us to see ourselves clearly, without the filter of societal pressures or expectations, and it provides us the opportunity to reconnect with the natural rhythms of our own existence. The gift of presence in stillness is that it invites us to experience life in its most authentic form. In a world that values action and achievement, stillness offers a counterbalance, a reminder that sometimes the most profound moments come not from doing, but from simply being. It is in this stillness that we find clarity, connection, and a deeper sense of purpose. Listening, in its truest sense, is far more than just hearing words. It involves a deep, conscious engagement with another person, where we tune into their emotions, intentions, and unspoken thoughts. In a world where words are often the default means of communication, we forget that much of what people want to express cannot be fully captured in language. The subtle shifts in tone, the pauses, the silences between words, and even body language carry volumes of meaning that words alone cannot convey. To truly listen is to transcend the surface level of speech and open ourselves to the deeper currents of connection. In everyday interactions, we are often more focused on waiting for our turn to speak than we are on fully understanding what is being said. Our thoughts race ahead, formulating responses or judgments, while the person speaking is left to share their truth without truly being heard. This tendency to focus on the words themselves without paying attention to the underlying emotions or context is a barrier to meaningful communication. Often people are not seeking answers or advice, but simply someone who will listen with empathy and without interruption. Listening beyond words requires us to pause and create space for the other person's experience to unfold, giving them the freedom to express what they truly feel and need. The essence of listening beyond words lies in the ability to attune to the unspoken messages that are embedded in silence or conveyed through subtle cues. A person may speak of frustration, but that their body language might reveal vulnerability. A person may tell a story of joy, but their tone might betray a deeper sense of sadness. By honing our ability to listen beyond the spoken words, we open ourselves to a richer, more authentic understanding of those around us. This kind of listening demands more than just focus, it requires presence. It requires being fully in the moment, putting aside distractions and engaging with the other person on a deeper, emotional level. Silence is a crucial companion in this form of listening. Often when someone is speaking, the best response is not to immediately offer our own words, but to simply be there, present and silent. The pause after someone has spoken gives them the space to reflect, to elaborate, or to feel heard without the rush to fill the silence with our own thoughts. Silence does not imply a lack of response. Rather, it indicates that we are actively listening, that we are honoring the speaker's emotions and thoughts with our full attention. In relationships, listening beyond words is a powerful tool for building trust and intimacy. When we listen deeply, we show others that we value them, that their thoughts and feelings matter. This kind of listening fosters an environment of mutual respect and understanding. It allows us to connect with others on a more profound level, strengthening the bonds between us and creating a space where real communication can take place. It also enables us to understand our own feelings and thoughts more clearly. When we truly listen to others, we are not just engaging with their words, but we are also becoming more attuned to our own internal world, reflecting on how their experiences resonate with our own. Ultimately, listening beyond words is an act of love and compassion. It is about offering the gift of our attention, our empathy, and our presence to another person. It requires us to let go of judgment and expectation, and instead embrace the moment with openness and vulnerability. When we listen beyond words, we honor the complexity of human experience and create connections that are both meaningful and transformative. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, there is a profound need to guard what is sacred, those aspects of life, of self, and of existence that hold deep meaning and intrinsic value. The sacred is not necessarily tied to religious rituals or cultural symbols, though it can be. It is more about those things that are deeply personal and resonate at the core of who we are. It is the silence that allows us to hear our inner voice, the space where we can reflect and connect with something beyond the ordinary. Guarding the sacred means protecting these moments' values and truths from the encroaching forces of the world that seek to trivialize or dilute them. In many ways, the sacred is vulnerable. It thrives in stillness and privacy, untouched by the chaotic impulses of the world around it. When we allow the sacred parts of our lives to be exposed or overexploited, they risk becoming mere commodities, things to be consumed, discussed, or sold. The sacred becomes diluted, losing its essence in the process. By guarding the sacred, we protect its purity, allowing it to remain something precious and untainted. This requires an active decision to be discerning about what we allow into our lives and what we choose to share with others. Not everything deserves to be laid bare for the world to scrutinize. Some truths, some parts of ourselves are meant to be kept in quiet sanctity, valued for their depth and intimacy. Guarding the sacred also means being mindful of the words we speak and the actions we take. In a world obsessed with constant expression and visibility, we often speak carelessly, revealing more than we should. Words once spoken cannot be taken back, and they have the power to shape our reality and the perception others have of us. When we allow ourselves to speak thoughtlessly, we risk giving away pieces of ourselves that should remain guarded. Similarly, our actions and behavior, when driven by impulsiveness or external pressure, can violate the sanctity of our inner world. Guarding the sacred is not just about silence, but about intentionality in both speech and action, protecting the most profound aspects of who we are from the relentless demands of society. In relationships, too, guarding the sacred is essential. There are aspects of every relationship that require careful handling, moments of vulnerability, shared experiences, and deep emotional connections. These are sacred spaces that should not be taken for granted or misused. To guard the sacred within a relationship is to honor the trust and intimacy that exists between individuals, recognizing that certain bonds are fragile and should be treated with respect and reverence. When these sacred moments are protected, they become the foundation upon which deeper understanding and connection can grow. Additionally, guarding the sacred involves protecting our sense of self from external pressures that seek to define us. In a world that often values conformity, it is easy to lose sight of our authentic selves, adopting labels, expectations, or personas that are not truly ours. The sacred lies in the essence of who we are, our values, our passions, our beliefs, and it is essential that we guard this truth against the forces that seek to alter or diminish it. By maintaining our integrity and authenticity, we keep the sacred within us intact, allowing us to live in harmony with our true nature. Ultimately, guarding the sacred is an act of self-respect and reverence for life. It is about choosing what to protect and preserving the things that matter most, whether they are within ourselves and our relationships or in the world around us. It requires wisdom and discernment, a deep understanding of the difference between what is fleeting and what is lasting, what is shallow and what is profound. By guarding the sacred, we create a space for truth, connection, and peace to flourish. The language of the unspoken is a powerful and often overlooked form of communication. It exists beyond the limits of words and manifests in gestures, body language, eye contact, and even the quiet spaces between conversations. This form of communication can express emotions, intentions, and truths in ways that words sometimes cannot. It is the subtle art of conveying meaning without the need for verbal expression, a language that transcends cultural and linguistic barriers to reach a deeper, more universal understanding. In many situations, what is not said often carries more weight than what is spoken. Words, when carefully chosen, are important, but they can also be inadequate, limited by their very structure. They can be misinterpreted, distorted, or even fail to capture the full complexity of human experience. In contrast, the unspoken language expressed through a glance, a pause, or a touch often communicates more directly, tapping into emotions that words alone cannot reach. For example, a look shared between two people can convey an entire conversation, an understanding or an unspoken bond, one that requires no explanation. In such moments, the shared silence becomes a powerful means of connection. The language of the unspoken is also a reflection of our emotions and psychological states. When we are anxious, happy, sad, or excited, our bodies instinctively reveal these feelings through nonverbal cues. A tense posture, a clenched fist, or a warm smile all carry messages that go beyond words. These cues often reveal our true feelings, sometimes before we even consciously recognize them ourselves. Our bodies, in essence, speak before our minds do, offering a more honest and immediate form of communication. The ability to read and understand these unspoken messages enhances our empathy, helping us connect with others on a deeper level. By paying attention to the unspoken, we learn to recognize the underlying emotions and intentions that may be driving someone's words or actions. Moreover, the unspoken language plays a vital role in relationships. In romantic partnerships, for instance, a single gesture, such as holding hands or a comforting touch on the shoulder, can communicate affection and support in ways that words often fail to do. The quiet presence of someone who understands us without needing to speak can provide immense comfort. This type of communication fosters a sense of intimacy and trust, as it allows individuals to express their needs and emotions without the pressure of finding the perfect words. Silence, when shared with someone we care about, can be just as meaningful as a conversation. The language of the unspoken is also a crucial element in moments of conflict or tension. Sometimes words may escalate a situation, leading to misunderstandings or hurt feelings. However, the silence between words can offer a chance for reflection, a moment to choose the right response. In heated discussions, a calm silence can diffuse aggression, offering space for both parties to gather their thoughts and approach the situation with greater clarity. In this sense, the unspoken allows for a more thoughtful, measured response, where actions or presence become more important than immediate verbal reaction. Even in moments of solitude, the unspoken language speaks to us. Our inner dialogue, the quiet reflection in our minds, shapes how we experience the world and our place in it. This silent conversation with ourselves guides our decisions, informs our values, and helps us navigate our emotions. In these moments of introspection, the language of the unspoken becomes an essential tool for self-awareness and growth. It is in the silence within us that we often find the answers we seek. In a world that is increasingly dominated by noise and constant communication, the language of the unspoken offers a powerful reminder of the richness that exists beyond words. It encourages us to slow down, to pay attention to the subtle signals around us, and to recognize the deep connections that can be made without uttering a single syllable. In a world where words often dominate our interactions, it's crucial to recognize the profound power of silence and the unspoken language that exists beyond verbal communication. Silence, when embraced with intention, can reveal deeper insights, allowing for a greater understanding of ourselves and those around us. It fosters presence, allowing us to be attuned to the subtleties of life and the emotions that words alone may fail to convey. By guarding the sacred and listening beyond words, we protect the depth and authenticity of our connections, ensuring that our communication is rooted in meaning rather than noise. The language of the unspoken, in all its forms, invites us to cultivate deeper relationships, both with others and within ourselves, where the true essence of our experiences can be expressed in ways that words sometimes cannot. In the quiet spaces between speech, we find the opportunity for reflection, empathy, and the profound understanding that transcends language itself. Through silence and the unspoken, we discover a more authentic, meaningful way to engage with the world.